Hello everyone and welcome to another E3 conference analysis video. Today we are going to be talking about Sony's press conference. This is the last major conference I want to talk about. I still have one more press conference that I need to talk about, but it's probably going to go up pretty late. I don't even care anymore. I just want to do it so I can say that I've officially done all of them, so I can just sort of be more at peace with myself. But yeah, that's whatever. Anyway, we're going to jump right into this. We're going to start with the first thing that they talked about, which was weird because it was like in a tent, and then they had to move people and had a long intermission. Anyway, it was Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, I wanted to talk about this game because I personally have mixed feelings about this game. As many people know, I'm in the vast minority as far as that goes. The game itself looks absolutely awesome, though. Seeing Ellie grown up is kind of bittersweet because I love the idea of playing as her as a main character. I liked the DLC, the Left Behind DLC. I liked the part of the original Last of Us where you play as her. I think she's an awesome protagonist, but I also really liked her relationship with Joel. Obviously, Ellie's going to be the focal point of this game, but I'm wondering, does Joel still have a role sort of as a, like, you know, as a support character the way that Ellie did in the original Last of Us? Is it going to be like kind of a role reversal, or is Joel not going to be important for this game at all? The reason that I fell in love with Last of Us primarily was because of the story and the relationship between these two characters. And so if now they're like moving on from that, I don't know if I'm going to be as invested into it, but I'm sure they'll find a way. You know, Naughty Dog is incredible. I'm sure that they have some plan for Ellie that's going to be awesome. I just hope Joel is not like completely cast out of this game, you know. He was one of the main reasons I fell in love with the first game, so, you know, I'd hate to see him just fall to the wayside. They showed a lot of combat in it, and oh my gosh, the combat looks so intense. The original game had a lot of stealth aspects, but the stealth in Last of Us Part 2 looks like it's going to be even crazier. The limited ammo still looks like it's going to be a major issue that you have to be concerned with, which is the point, you know. I'm glad there's limited ammo because it's not Last of Us if you get lots of ammo. There still seems to be a huge variety of ways to take down the enemies, as far as like whether you're stealthy with them, whether you're going to try to lure them out of an area and sneak up on them, or you're going to shoot them, melee. There seems to be so many different options for that. Like I said, the story seems like it'll be good. I'm curious what direction this game's going to go down. I'm still skeptical. I think in my heart I still would have preferred that if there was no second game at all, but I'm also excited. You know, it's Naughty Dog and I know the game's going to be great. Again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this game because I don't want this video to be forever, but I'm excited. You know, at least for the gameplay purposes, I know it's going to be a 10 out of 10. You know, I'm just curious what direction the story's going to go still. We've had some hints, but nothing for sure. So, like I said, before the actual conference began, there was time in between where they talked about a few things that I don't feel like discussing here, like Destiny 2 DLC, Black Ops 4, there's a lot of little indie games they talked about. I'm not going to go in detail because that wasn't a part of the main press conference. There was also a co-announcement saying that Black Ops 3 is going to get some Black Ops 4 maps in preparation for the release of Black Ops 4, so that's kind of cool for those of you that care. And that it's going to be free on PlayStation Plus, so that deal's probably over by the time this video goes up, so oopsie. The next big game that was discussed was the Ghost of Tsushima. This game also looks awesome. The first thing I want to talk about, and this thing that I'm sure everyone wants to talk about, the visuals and the audio was fantastic. The graphics, seeing like the huge field of flowers, the distant city landscape, all of it just completely blew me away. And the music in the background was absolutely phenomenal. This game, as far as its presentation goes, within the first 10 seconds had me absolutely won over. Even the way the text kind of popped up and faded on the screen and the font of it, everything was like perfect for what the game was trying to go for. I feel like I immediately knew what this game wanted to be. So I am so excited about that. But on top of that, being able to explore the landscape on horseback looks like it would have been so entertaining because of the presentation. I like the fact that you can ride a horse and sort of traverse this open-ended world. I think that aspect of it looked totally awesome. So the exploration and the presentation looked like they're going to be knocked out of the park. The combat looked fluid. I couldn't get too big of a grasp on what type of combat this game's going to be like. It looks like it flows well, but it's not really fast-paced combat. It seems like it's going to be a lot of waiting and trying to like counter and combo. There's a lot of variety in your attacks. There's like light attacks, heavy attacks. It looks like there's going to be some finishing moves that you can do if you can counter correctly. The game also has some stealth areas where you're trying to sneak through and not get caught by different enemies. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be a button mashing type of game, which makes me happy. I like games where you have to strategize your combat. It looks similar to Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways, but you play as a samurai. So instead of an assassin, you're a samurai, which is, you know, cool. The story seems dark. The characters in it seem cool. They already kind of had like a little betrayal between the main character and this other female who wanted to kill someone that she thought was a coward that betrayed her or whatever. So it seems like the story is going to be intense and deep, and I'm so excited for this game. There's no release date for it yet. It's probably very far off. I was looking to pre-order it right away, and I was sad when I saw nothing on Amazon, so I think of all the things that were announced Sony's press conference, this is the game now that I'm most excited for, but it's still far off. Sad face. Control came next. This game looks pretty interesting. It looks just insane right off the bat. The walls are moving around. The combat in it looks like it's just totally off the wall. Ironically, the main protagonist has telekinetic abilities where she can like pick things up and use objects around her to help her out. I'm not too sure what I was watching with this one. It looks very odd, but it does have a very Quantum Break-esque feel. If you played Quantum Break, you would kind of get the idea of what this game feels like, which makes sense since this is the same developer that made Quantum Break, so, you know, no surprises there. Like I said, I don't have too much to say about this. You can see the gameplay for yourself. If it's something you're interested in, you can check it out. I'll probably wait for reviews on this one. This one didn't get me too hyped, just because it was sort of an off-the-wall, bizarre game, but I'm going to watch the reviews, and it's one that I'm going to keep my eye on. There's no confirmed release date, but it will be out at some point in 2019. And now we have a really big one for me, and that is Resident Evil 2. I've been waiting for news about this game for so long. People have been bugging on Resident Evil's Twitter page. Basically, every time they make some sort of announcement about something, people are like, what about Resident Evil 2, huh? Why aren't you talking about the remake? So I think everyone is breathing a huge sigh of relief, and Capcom is probably like, thank God we finally put this out there so people can stop bugging us about it. The game looks great. I'm not a huge fan of Leon's model. I kind of figured they'd make him look a little bit tougher, but I guess since this is him younger and his first sort of run at the zombie apocalypse, you know, I guess it makes sense he doesn't look too rough and tugged yet. I'm excited to see the cutscenes in this game play out in HD. I think just the idea of that looks awesome. That's what made the first one so fun for me, is just the cutscenes mostly. You know, I remember what it looks like on the PlayStation 1, and granted, I still think it looks good for what it is, and I'm not like against older graphics, but it's cool seeing the game updated, seeing what they can do with all the technology now, how they can improve and make the game look even cooler and creepier. So I'm excited what that's like. Hopefully the fixed camera angles are still a part of the game. I'm hoping this doesn't get the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment where they like drastically change the gameplay. I'm hoping they're going to do what they did with Resident Evil HD and Resident Evil 0, where they don't change much, they just sort of upgrade what it looks like, but in terms of gameplay and graphics, things are the same. I hope that's what it's like. At this point now, we're pretty much just going to be waiting for Resident Evil 3 to be remade now. 0, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 have all been remade, or at least made available on the current gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One, so, except for Resident Evil 3, so, you know, I think it's inevitable that one's going to happen just because people are going to be like, well, there's only one game left between 0 and 7, but I don't want to start talking about that. We're talking about Resident Evil 2. I'm excited. This is one of the cooler stories and settings for the game as far as like the city atmosphere goes, so I'm super excited to play this game in HD. January 25th, 2019 is the release date, so now we can officially have a date to look forward to, and that makes me so happy. After this one, there was a game called Trover Saves the Universe. This game looks completely hilarious. It's made by the developers of Rick and Morty. You can tell right off the bat from the type of jokes they're making and the voice acting. It's the same voices as the ones from Rick and Morty. It's created by Justin Roiland, who is an absolutely hilarious guy. If you've never seen Rick and Morty, you have to watch that show. It is completely awesome. It is like, it's a gamer's dream pretty much for a television show. I think pretty much every video gamer I know also loves Rick and Morty, so if you're watching this video, you would probably like Rick and Morty, but I'm sure most of you have seen it by now. It's a hilarious ride, and I know that Trover Saves the Universe, it's a platformer type game, but I know there's going to be lots of humor, so the gameplay is going to be worth checking out, I'm sure, but even if it's not, I think this game will be worth playing just for the humor that you know Justin Roiland can give. It will be a PSVR and PS4 exclusive, so hopefully you have a PlayStation 4 with the VR headsets. Now I think for the first time I'm actually going to go in detail a little bit with Kingdom Hearts 3 because finally we get a new look at this game with the Pirates of the Caribbean world. Every other trailer we've seen so far has been something we've seen before with the Frozen stuff and the Toy Story stuff. This is the first trailer shown at E3 for Kingdom Hearts that was completely original. I'm so glad they did. The Pirates of the Caribbean world looks cool. It's not the first time they've done this world. Obviously, Kingdom Hearts 2 also had Pirates of the Caribbean, but they have ship warfare, and this is something that Kingdom Hearts 2 did not have. The ship warfare looks like it took a page out of Assassin's Creed, as far as like using the cannons and having a crew that sort of helps you out when you fight on the seas. I like ship warfare. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but if it's done right, it's really, really enjoyable, so I'm glad Kingdom Hearts is doing that. I like the fact that they're branching out. You know, every Kingdom Hearts game sort of has these gimmicks in the worlds. If Pirates of the Caribbean's gimmick is going to be ship warfare, that's awesome. Sword's outfit looked awesome, and it made me hyped. This was the trailer that finally won me over and made me go, you know what? I'm excited for Kingdom Hearts 3 again. I've always been excited. It's probably the game I'm most looking forward to just because I love the series, but the lack of trailers and announcements at E3 so far kind of had me bummed out. Seeing this one finally rose me up a bit and made me a little bit happier. So, and Sora's outfit looks awesome. So, you know, Good on them. Seeing more Tangled, Frozen, Monsters Inc., Hercules, and Toy Story all look cool as well. We got a little more insight into the plot, so, you know, it looks fun. And for those that haven't seen the other videos, Kingdom Hearts 3 will be released January 29th, 2019. So just a few more games to go through. Death Stranding had a new trailer that showed a bit of gameplay, but there is pretty much nothing to gain from this. Honestly, this is going to be another opinion of mine that probably will be in the vast minority, but I'm getting a little turned off to this game because the more they announce, the less I feel like I know what's going on, and it's making me nervous. This game was one that I had pre-ordered, and I ended up canceling it because now I'm worried this game's not going to be good. In fact, I'm worried this game is going to be an absolute mess. Because there's nothing to gain from this, and I feel like when you play the game, nothing's going to make sense. It's going to be so bizarre and off the wall that there's nothing there. Like, I feel like they're trying to go for some, like, oh, we're so weird and metaphorical and symbolic with how we do things, but I think they're getting a little bit too hipster with what this game is turning into, with the fetus and like all the gameplay stuff. Each trailer they've shown so far looks like it's going to be for a different type of game, so I don't know what to expect. It could be cool. It could be like something really artistic and fancy that Kojima's coming with. I love Kojima. I think he's a fantastic game developer and publisher, but I just can't form any opinion off of this trailer, and I wish I could. You know, there's a lot of gameplay of him walking around and stuff, but that doesn't tell me much about this game. So, you know, I'll keep my eye out on this. As more details come out, I will make more videos about Death Stranding because I'm curious what this will be like. But for now, I just can't formulate any sort of opinion on it, so I'm not going to say anything more about this game. One of the big announcements that we had was Nioh 2. There was not much shown for this one, but I'm excited because the original Nioh was awesome. A lot of people describe this game as the Dark Souls of feudal Japan. You sort of play as like a samurai ninja type person, and it's fun. The combat's intense. Again, it's more like Dark Souls where you can't just spam the button away. You have to sort of plan your attacks. You have to defend and dodge and things like that. The first game was great. It had a dark story, fun boss fights, all of that nonsense. Like I said, it's a very Japanese type of game. So if you're interested in the Japanese setting and environments, this game will turn out good. If you're in for a challenge, because the Nioh games are hard, I'm not going to deny that. These games will absolutely give you a challenge. So this game, Nioh did. There's only one game in the series so far. Though I'm sure this game will equally have an incredibly hard challenge to overcome for you. There wasn't a lot of details. As more stuff comes out again, we'll talk more. There's no release dates, no real information out yet, but I think the big thing was just announcing this game's coming out. So we have something to look forward to, and that's awesome. And now we have sort of the main platter for E3 for Sony, and that is the Spider-Man game. It's cool because Spider-Man is a superhero that's loved by all, and yet somehow Sony got this as a PS4 exclusive, and I think that's why this game is such a big deal to them. Because everyone wants to play Spider-Man, but if you want to play it, you can only play it on the PlayStation 4. So that's sort of a big deal for them. I probably would have been upset had I not owned a PS4, but since I do, I'm just going to raise the middle finger to all you Microsoft and Nintendo people, even though I own those consoles as well. I think it's funny that Spider-Man is a PS4 exclusive. Anyway, they showed a lot more of the graphics. The graphics of this game still look absolutely gorgeous. The gameplay looks awesome. I like the idea of using the webs in combat. It looks like using your web powers is going to give you a lot of interesting counters and combo moves that you can do with it. The combat looks a lot like the Batman Arkham games. Obviously, though, with the addition of the webs, it looks like there's a lot more you can do. And then, I don't need to say this, but flying around the city with the web looks like it'll be fun. One of the boss fights they showed, I don't even know if you can call it a boss fight, more like a chase scene. Spider-Man is running through the city using his powers to sort of whip off buildings as he's chasing the enemies. So I think that's really cool, you know. It's interesting, the last Spider-Man game that I played was absolute garbage. And if you watch Travis play the N64 game, that was even worse garbage. But this Spider-Man game looks like it has so much potential. It's hard to mess up a Spider-Man game when you think about what it is. So, you know, this one I'm sure will be great. Definitely a system seller if you like Spider-Man. And the last game they talked about, this was sort of an oddball announcement to say for the end. I don't know how you say this, so I'm going to say De Racine, but I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I think it's some French word. But this is from the company that made Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Armored Core. So what you're looking at, keep in mind, is the same people that made Dark Souls. It blew me away too when I saw that. I didn't believe it. That's, by the way, the company's called From Software. This is going to be a PlayStation VR game. It's a drastic turn from what we normally see. Usually they have these high action, sort of dark and dreary world, like hellish landscapes. This game doesn't seem like it's going to be like that at all. We can't really grasp what the story's going to be like. It does seem like it's going to be very story focused. Most VR games kind of are in that aspect, where like it'll be like more you're observing a story. That's kind of the vibe I got from the trailer. It seems like it'll probably be pretty dark, but again, I can't really say for sure. It definitely feels old school. I feel like it might be like some medieval or older setting, maybe like in a London or Paris type setting. But again, there wasn't a lot of details, so everything I'm saying is total speculation. This is the first VR game that From Software made, so not only is it a drastically different type of game, it's on a system that they've never even touched before. So it'll be really interesting to watch, but From Software is great at making games. I'm sure this game's going to be awesome. I know I'm going to be picking this one up, at least with the details I have so far. I'm excited for it. When more details come out, as I've said numerous times, I'll talk more about it. But that's all I wanted to mention from Sony's press conference. As I mentioned, they had a weird press conference in terms of the structure of it. I didn't like it, where like they had the tent where they were talking about, oh, we're going to go in depth with the games we love. And then they all have to move and they take like a 20-minute intermission. Like, you could have just made the press conference 20 minutes shorter and not done the tent thing. But I don't know. But once the press conference actually started, they didn't waste any time. They went straight from one game to the next. They didn't waste a lot of time talking in between of mundane nonsense that we don't really care about, you know, where developers are like, we're making a game for you, the people. You know, they didn't do any of that bullcrap, which I liked. You know, just give me the games. I'm here to watch trailers and look at new announcements, and that's exactly what Sony did after the intermission, so I was happy with that. Definitely Ghost of Tsushima and Resident Evil 2 are the games that I really, really want to buy. Death Stranding is the game that I'm probably most interested in seeing how it develops, as well as Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2 I'm going to buy for sure, but I'm curious what the story's going to be like, so I can't be too happy yet. Kingdom Hearts 3 is already on my pre-order list, so I don't even need to talk about that. I had that pre-ordered since like last year. So yeah, this press conference was filled with must-buys, and in my personal opinion, between Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, I think Sony came out on top. Microsoft was close behind them, but I think Sony definitely won this one between the three major companies. And for me, Nintendo probably took third. If you want to know why, watch the Nintendo E3 one, but it had to do with Smash Bros. Taking over and them not talking about Metroid and Yoshi and all that stuff. So great job, Sony. If you agree, let me know in the comment section below. If you disagree, also let me know. Let me know what games that you saw from Sony's press conference that you're excited for. If you think they won the E3 out of the major companies, let me know. I still have them second place behind Bethesda, because Bethesda, even though they had less games, had more stuff that I'm really interested in. But Sony won between the three major companies. And so if you agree, let me know. How did you think about E3? What games are you most excited for? I'm always curious to know. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.